They say the heaviest chains are not made of iron, but of expectations. And sometimes, the hardest prison to escape is the one built inside your own mind. This story will free your mind. Long ago, nestled between gentle hills and a silver river, there was a small mountain town named Aaloria. Its streets were lined with cobblestone paths, and every morning the scent of freshly baked bread filled the air, leading people straight to the little shop at the corner of the square, Leora's Bakery. Leora was known not for grandeur, but for warmth. Her loaves were golden, soft, and comforting, each one baked with care, each one carrying the quiet love she poured into it. People said her bread carried a kind of peace, the kind that reminded them of home. But as time passed, that peace began to fade. Travelers from distant lands often stopped by Aaloria on their way to the royal city. They spoke of magnificent bakeries there, of marble counters, golden crusts dusted with sugar, and breads shaped into crowns and roses. The stories filled the townspeople with awe, and soon even Leora's loyal customers began to whisper, "Her bread is good, but not as grand as those from the city." Leora smiled politely whenever she heard it, but inside, her heart began to sink. That night, she lay awake, staring at the flickering light of her oil lamp. "Perhaps they're right," she thought. "Maybe my bread is too plain. Maybe I'm not enough." From that moment, everything changed. She began waking earlier, pushing herself harder. She experimented with sugar and cream, copied designs from traveling merchants' sketches, and tried to bake loaves as shiny and flawless as those from the royal city. But something subtle was missing. The taste wasn't the same. The feeling wasn't there. Weeks turned into months. Her hands, once full of calm and rhythm, now trembled with pressure. Her smile faded. Baking, once her joy, had become a battlefield of comparison. One morning, as she was shaping dough, her childhood friend Aaron stopped by. He had grown up with Leora, often sitting in her bakery as a boy, eating bread straight from the oven. "Leora," he said softly, "you look tired. What's wrong?" She forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just trying to make my bread perfect." Aaron frowned. "Your bread was already perfect. Everyone came here because it felt real. Now it looks beautiful, but it tastes empty." Leora's eyes stung with tears. "You don't understand, Aaron. People expect more now. If I don't change, I'll be forgotten." He sighed. "Be careful, Leora. The prison of expectations looks like ambition until it takes your joy away." But she didn't listen. The voice of doubt inside her grew louder every day. One winter evening, as snow began to fall softly over Aaloria, a hooded old woman entered the bakery. There were no customers that night, only the quiet hum of the fire and the smell of bread in the oven. She walked to the counter and pointed at a small, misshapen loaf sitting aside. "That one," she said. Leora hesitated. "That's a failed one, ma'am. It doesn't look nice. I can give you a better loaf." But the woman shook her head. "No, child. I want that one." Puzzled, Leora wrapped it carefully and handed it over. The woman took a bite right there, and her wrinkled face softened into a smile. "Ah," she whispered, "this bread tastes like truth." Leora blinked. "Like truth?" The woman nodded. "Yes. You see, bread carries the spirit of the baker. This one may not be pretty, but it's honest. It tastes like care, not comparison." Leora stood frozen, unable to reply. The woman's words cut through her like a blade of light through fog. The woman looked into her eyes and said gently, "You have caged your spirit, child. You've chained it with the weight of others' approval. The oven burns, but your heart has gone cold. Bake again, not to please the eyes of others, but to warm your own soul." Before Aaloria could speak, the woman smiled and walked into the night, leaving only the sound of snow crunching beneath her feet. That night, Aaloria didn't sleep. She sat by the fire, staring at her hands, cracked from flour and heat, yet trembling with something she hadn't felt in months: awareness. She realized she had become her own captor. No one forced her into this prison. She had built it herself with the bricks of others' opinions. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, "What have I done to myself?" As dawn painted the horizon pink, Aaloria lit her oven again. She reached for a bag of flour and smiled faintly. No sugar, no decorations, no perfection. Just her and the dough. She kneaded slowly, lovingly, feeling every fold and stretch. The warmth returned to her fingertips, and her heart beat in rhythm with the work she once loved. When the first loaf came out of the oven, it wasn't flawless. Its crust cracked unevenly, and its shape was far from elegant. But the smell, oh, the smell filled the room like sunlight after a long storm. Aaron walked in later that morning. "You're baking again?" he asked, surprised. "Yes," she said softly, "this time for myself." He picked up a slice, tasted it, and smiled. "This is the Aaloria I remember." Word spread quickly through the town. The villagers returned, drawn not by perfection, but by something deeper: the warmth, the sincerity, the comfort that had always lived in Aaloria's bread. Her bakery filled with laughter once more, and with each loaf she found not approval, but peace. And sometimes, late at night, when she sat alone by the fire, she would think of the old woman's words, "The oven burns, but your heart has gone cold," and she would whisper to herself, "Never again." So remember, my friends, when you stop chasing perfection and start embracing authenticity, you free yourself from the prison of expectations. True happiness begins the moment you dare to be yourself. If this story warmed your heart, subscribe to the channel for more timeless tales that inspire, heal, and awaken the soul.